Hello. Hello, whoever's watching. Is anyone in the chat? You know what? There might be people. Top chat, live chat, non blah blah blah. Okay. Anyone there? I'm wondering if it's going to show me if people are talking or not, because I can't rotate the camera. Oh, I see. I can choose to rotate the camera, but why would I want to do that? Anyway, let me show you so far what I've gotten done. So these are the ones here that are already sanded down to 400 grit. I put the hardest woods on the bottom because those are the heaviest. So when I transport them back to my home, I won't have any problems. My favorite one so far is the English chestnut one that I was making. This is belonging to someone named Marilyn. Hello, Marilyn, if you happen to be watching. Has a beautiful pattern on it. Let me see if I can. They didn't have many different pieces to choose from, but the one that she got for the English, I believe it's the English walnut, is what she got. Absolutely amazing looking. A lot of character to it. They said it was taken from a tree that was around 200 years old and was grown on top of the roots of another tree, which from what they told me is still common practice apparently. These lighter ones here, birch, more birch. This one's the figured bird's eye maple. Birch, so all the birch stuff here. And then so I got one from Maryland. This one's the Purple Heart. All of these are going to look a lot different once I dip them in the teak oil. I do have a few other ones here. This one's mahogany. It's going to look a lot darker. So pretty much all of these are going to look more rich and dark when I'm done with them. All of these ones here are the ones that I still have to edge, sand the edges to them. But what I've been getting ready are the pedestal pieces these are the different pieces that for different people's pedestals. In other words, the part that you see is it's upside down here like this. So you got the really kind of crushed side, and then you have the nice side. Actually, I think it's the other way around. I think they both look kind of nice. But yeah, these need to be stained to match. So like this one here is going to be purple heart. So that goes with that one that I was showing you over here. So this one's going to be made to look like purple heart. And the reason why I don't use hardwoods for the top, number one, is because the upholstery tacks, the nails that these go into, they go in much easier and with less difficulty with plywood. And also because I want to make sure that this is manufactured to have a completely straight edge. Unlike the bottom piece, you don't want to have any warpings on it. Otherwise it messes up the way that the ham lays on the thing. And also because you don't see it. So it kind of saves a little bit of the customer's money when I'm, making it this way. Some of these already have finishing on them. This is the maple pre-finish. This is the color that I use for anything that matches this general look and style. If it's darker, that's when I get either the cherry or the red oak, depending on what the grain is supposed to look like. So this is the furniture outside of it, and then on the inside has a different texture. So imagine if you were doing cabinetry and you were looking on the inside of a cabinet, you would have a different texture than on the outside. So yeah, a lot of nice stuff here. All of these colors are going to come out as soon as they're dipped. This is Bridgewire. This is the makerspace that I recently joined. I have a lot of neat equipment here. Haven't been using this bandsaw. It's pretty big. I've been using the smaller one here. This is all of the equipment that they have here has either been purchased or donated by different people. And then some of the things you have to use your own. Like for instance, these are my drill bits that I happen to have. I decided to go ahead and use my own drill bits because I know they work. And yes, these things, they are ready to go. They are plugged in. So I was using this a little bit earlier to cut the plywood down to size. Here are my stencils, some of which are a little bit broken. I actually need to make some other ones. See, I made these stencils to make it a little bit easier for me to cut the different sizes. So for instance, the outside stencil, this is for the size of the ham, which has to be larger than the inside, which is the size of the diameter of the plywood that it goes on top of. And the reason why it has to be a little bit larger is because it's going to be on a curved surface, for the ham. So you need to have a little bit more fabric. And it gets the general shape. And then I hammer it down and make it match exactly the way I needed to when I put the sawdust into it. And then this inner circle here, this is the size of the base for this. So I have 3 different stencils in one, and each one of these has the little crosshairs where I put the holes for the machine screws that bind everything together. Speaking of which, they do have a lathe. Now currently the way that I make the risers for my bucks, since I didn't have a lathe myself, I have all of my stuff over here. Oh, where can I buy one? I make them. Actually, brassandmortar.com. Whoops, I'm covering my face here. Brassandmortar.com is my website. And right now, I have about 23 orders that I'm currently fulfilling, which is the largest that I've ever had at one time. And it's proving to be a different experience for me than the usual 1 or 2 that I get per every 3 or 4 months. I don't do a lot of marketing for my stuff, honestly. I don't believe in that kind of thing. I'd rather have things travel word of mouth. So this right here, this is a what's called a bunt foot for furniture. And see how it already comes prepared with things. So what I've been doing to make these my risers is I cut this bottom portion off here. This it looks like about like 5/8 of an inch off to get more footing because it's too small on the bottom. And then I take out the hardware from the top right here, and then I drill a hole all the way through the center of this, and then I put in this 5-inch screw. It's a machine screw. There we go. I bought these in bulk. It goes all the way from the very top of the pedestal, or sorry, the top of the pedestal up here, down to underneath the base. So the reason why I make it like this, I had to devise a way to make it easier and safer to transport the items to my customers without risk of any wood breaking. Had a couple of those happen, so there is some assembly that I have to have my customers do, but I give a little sheet instructing people how to put the... In fact, on this channel, there's actually a video that explains to people how to put it together. Very simple, you know, especially if you have a little power drill with a Phillips screwdriver head on it. So here's all my stuff that I have. So this is the surplus wood. See, whenever I buy wood, there's a hardwood retail store here in Sparks, Nevada called Mastercraft, and they have a bunch of different types of woods, including exotics, domestics, different types from Africa, South America, you name it. And so this is where I get all my woods, and all of this is the surplus that I get. So that way, in case if I ever get another order, I don't have to go back. I just have a couple of extra ones. And so, you know, it depending on how much it is per board foot, it can cost a pretty penny depending on what kind it is. Like I got some wenge here. This is from wenge, I believe that's from Africa. I have some babinga, some African mahogany, some catalax, paduac. I always love that name, paduac. I got some yellow birch here, which also be considered prime birch. It's the same species, just a darker grain to it. Yeah, hickory, pecan, maple, wormy maple, and then in here, let's see here, I got even more stuff. So these are more pieces of wood that had been cut short enough to be able to fit into this 22-inch deep wide storage cabinet that I've been given as part of a membership. So I also have these pieces here hiding in the corner, and what these allow me to do is with all of the spare or the waste that's left over from the boards that I buy, later on I can make what's called a rainbow style board. Basically I can get different types of wood, butt them together with some biscuits in a biscuit joiner, and I can put it together and create a solid base. I have a few of them at my house, which I have not marketed yet because I only have a couple of them. So that's just basically, it's random pieces of wood that I splice together, and it looks really pretty. It gives a nice rainbow effect, so I'll call them rainbow boards. I try to mix and match different darknesses, different kinds of grains to make it look visually appealing. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Let me show you what else I have going on here. So I started designing in Adobe Illustrator. I made this. I've been trying to figure out a better way to... God, all that sawdust makes me look 50 years old. I make these partially at home now, and what I usually do is once I dip them in teak oil to finish the wood, I let it rest on my table on some risers, little pieces of wood that I try to keep so that way it has air flowing around it all the ground. And I thought, well, since I have so many orders going on, I have to come up with a better way. So what I decided to do is make this drip dry rack system I don't have the full sheet, or do I? Well, okay, it's kind of hard to look at. But basically, here was the result. I got a big 2-inch thick piece of African mahogany, and I decided to go ahead and these. So basically, imagine these are on stilts, right? So I have these rods that they're sitting on, and they hang above the table about 24 inches off the table surface. And so these notches here, my idea is that I can use 2-inch long pegs, fit into the notches like this, and I can hang the piece by the hole that's made for the screw. Just hang it from that hole and let it hang and drip dry. So that way the air circulates around it and it lets it finish up evenly instead of dripping onto my table. So yeah, I'm gonna put that together. So that's what I worked on a couple of days ago. I've been having a hell of a time trying to work with my back lately. I've been having a lot of back problems, going to the doctors, things like that. So on my days off, and I actually haven't been going to work lately because of my back, because right now I'm on muscle relaxers. So if I seem slightly incoherent, it's probably because I'm very drowsy right now. So yeah, that's what I've been working on for the last, I don't want to say straight through the last 3 weeks, but I started getting these orders about 2.5 weeks ago. And give and take the amount of time that I've had and the ability to get around, my friends have been helping me. I don't have my own car, so they've been helping me transport all of my wood back and forth, and getting the hardware, getting the different hardwoods is the hardest thing to get, because trying to take that on a bus is a little bit. I remember one day I took I was walking down the street, and this guy was getting rid of a door, closet door, and this was when I had no furniture in my house whatsoever, and I was trying to figure out a way how to get I didn't have any money, and I was trying to figure out how to get an ironing table together. And so this door, he said, it's for free, you can have it. So here I am waiting for the bus at the bus stop with a door, 6-foot tall door, 7-foot tall. I get on the bus, and the lady, the driver, she's like, "A door? Are you kidding me?" She let me on the damn bus. I took that thing on the bus, and I walked down the street, went home with it, and took it, and I ended up never using it. Ended up throwing it away because at that time, like I said, I was absolutely broke. I was new in town. I was trying to put all this stuff together. Ouch. And I just didn't have use for it. Whoa. Because eventually I'm like, you know what? I don't need this. This thing's flimsy and rickety. I don't know why I bought this thing, so I tossed it. But yeah, that was still funny. So her and I actually became friends. She's recently retired, I think. So I don't know what it has to do with woodworking, other than the fact that I'm a weirdo and I'm willing to take a door on a bus. Oh, the reason why I didn't use it is because I realized when I got it home that even though it was light, first of all, one side of it was all busted up. Hold on, let me clean the lens real quick. One side of it was all busted up, and I was going to use the other side of it, but the wood was hollow on the inside, and I noticed that when I pushed down on it, it would bow in. And since I was going to use it for, like, I needed like a really hard surface like this to lay my my ironing thing on. I was going to get like a, what is it, 3-inch thick piece of wool. Was one of these German tailor's suggestions. So I thought, okay, I need to have a table to lay on it. And I realized if it was going to bow up and down and move like that, it wouldn't have been able to withstand the pressure for what I was using it for. And I ended up getting for free a used board room table, which eventually became my woodworking room for my home. Oh, I need to sit down for a moment. Anyway, What else do I need to do? Well, I need to start sanding. It's going to be kind of boring. It's going to be kind of loud. I guess I can let the camera run, and just for you guys at home who have no life whatsoever, you can watch me sand my wood. Sounded wrong. Okay, you can watch me finish the bases for my pressing bucks with my sander. How's that? Okay, that sounded much more professional. Let me see what I have here to do. And what time is it? It is, I don't even know what time it is. 6 o'clock. Okay. I have about an hour left. And then I am going to be going grocery shopping. My friend is going to be picking me up from here. So I got about an hour's worth of sanding that I can do, and I might as well do it because that's the last step for these that I need to accomplish before taking these home and going to the next step, which is finishing them, like wood finish, as in finishing the hardwood edges. Keep my stuff together here. Yeah, so there's different types of pressing boards. Okay, so there's different types. Some of them are made for, flat surfaces, blankets, creasing trousers, things like that. I've always thought about these in terms of boards that are used for tailoring. So the reason, and I never knew that these existed in the beginning, and a lot of tailors don't even use them. But the reason why German tailors use them, first of all, it makes sense. You're not trying to iron something that's going to end up being flat. So why iron it on a flat surface? You're making it hard on yourself. What they do is they take the surface of the ham, which is roundabout the size and the shape of a person's torso, and it's much easier to get curves and manipulate the shape of the fabric and get it to be the way that you want it if you do it on a curved surface, right? So that's why they have the hams, and the reason why it's on a tailor's on a pedestal is, I think the only reason why is either if your work table is too short. What am I doing here? There we go. Trying to sweep with one hand. Yeah, so I mean, there's different types of surfaces for tailoring, and like I said, I have never, and maybe it's just because I don't know if it's just unsophistication of American tailors, or maybe it was just something that never caught on culturally wise, but these I've only seen being used by German tailors. Even currently, you can still purchase them if you live in the EU, in Europe. You can purchase these with no problem, and but they're very basic. The only reason why I'm making these out of exotic hardwoods is because it looks pretty. Other than that, these are pretty much just solid workbenches, so you get a lot of customization, or a lot of function and utility from them. But at the same time, they have like a old school, vintage, perhaps you want to say steampunk appeal to them. It all depends on how you make it look. So yeah, I'm going to set my camera down because it's really hard to work with one hand. And let's get some sanding done, shall we? Trying to set my camera up in a position that is both logical and looks well. Okay. That's kind of... Okay, that's not going to move anywhere. As long as there's no wind. A couple of these, by the way. Like for instance, this one here belonging to Susan Child. I haven't done this router edge yet because I need to purchase the router bit, which hers requires. So a couple of these are stragglers, which I will get to very shortly. Have to go to this one hardware store. Okay, let me clean up this mess. I don't know about you guys, but I can never think when things are a mess. Push these out of the way here. Okay, this one's finished, and it's finished because this one's made of press wood. Okay. Put over here. I'll be right back, guys. So I'm going to attempt to keep on doing these the way that my friend was doing them with some, actually I don't need my gloves for this. He was using sanding sponges, but I noticed that it was taking forever for him to get these done, and I'm thinking to myself, what did I have my friend do? This would be a lot easier with a vibrational sander. Problem is that it's on a curved surface, so in order to protect the beveled or rounded edges that are here, I thought I would be very light about it, and so you have these sponges that curve to the contours of what we're sanding. But man, it was taking him hours, and I don't know if he just enjoyed it and he was fine with it, or if he couldn't voice his objection. He's a very nice person, and he usually fails to. He's usually okay with a little more hard work, but see, I'm trying to think about this. Okay, apparently it either disconnected or you guys hung up on the stream when I was on the phone call. The phone call came in. Sorry about that, guys. I have to get going. My friend is picking me up, and we're going to go grocery shopping. So I'll see you later. Bye-bye.